All right, let's jump into this deep dive. And today we're going to help you absolutely crush that interview for a metal sawing machine operator position.
Yeah, it's a pretty sought after role.
Absolutely. And we've got some incredible resources from RoleCatcher that are going to give you a real edge over the competition.
For sure, these resources are fantastic.
So we're going to be looking at their metal sawing machine operator career guide, their interview guide, and we'll even touch on how RoleCatcher's AI can give you that extra personalized boost.
Yeah, that AI is a game changer. It really helps you tailor your answers.
Definitely. Okay, so let's start by setting the stage right.
Yeah.
What does a metal sawing machine operator actually do? I mean, we all have a general idea, but
Right, it's more than just operating the saw.
exactly.
Yeah.
So the career guide's what they do section, it really emphasizes that it's not just about cutting metal. It's
It's about precision. It's about craftsmanship.
yeah, producing those really high quality pieces that meet those exact specifications.
Right, and understanding the different tools they use,
Yeah.
tin snips files, grinders. It's a whole skill set. Yeah.
So when you're answering these interview questions, you really want to show that you understand the full scope of the job.
Okay, so let's dive into some actual questions. Then the interview guide starts with a real classic. Tell us about your experience operating metal sawing machines.
Oh yeah, that's a common one.
Right, and I feel like that's where a lot of people might freeze up, especially if they haven't worked specifically with those types of machines.
Yeah, but don't panic. Even if you don't have direct experience on metal sawing machines, you can still highlight transferable skills.
That's a good point. So what kind of things should people be thinking about?
Well, any experience you have with other machinery, especially if it involves precision and attention to detail, if you've worked with a CNC lathe, for example, you can talk about how that honed your ability to work with tight tolerances.
Right, because those skills translate.
Exactly. And mention any training or certifications you have, even if they're not directly related to metal sawing, it all adds up.
I like that because it shows you're dedicated to learning and improving your skills. Right, it shows you're invested.
And speaking of showing you're invested, the interview guide talks a lot about tailoring your answers to the specific company and position.
Yeah, research is key.
Absolutely. And this is where RoleCatcher's AI can be a game changer.
Right. Oh, for sure. It analyzes the job description and helps you identify the most relevant keywords and skills to emphasize in your answers.
So it's like having a personalized coach in your pocket.
Exactly. It helps you stand out from the crowd.
Yeah.
Instead of giving those generic responses, you're giving answers that really resonate with the hiring manager.
All right, so let's move on to another question. How do you ensure the machine is set up correctly for each job? This one seems pretty technical.
They're testing your knowledge here.
Yeah, they want to know you understand the importance of accuracy and efficiency.
And safety, of course.
Of course. So how would you walk someone through answering this one?
Well, first, emphasize that you always review the job requirements carefully, the dimensions, the materials, the tolerances.
Making sure you understand what needs to be done.
Right, then talk about selecting the appropriate blade for the job, making sure it's sharp and properly installed.
Those are the basics.
Exactly. And of course, always mention safety precautions, wearing the right PPE.
Safety first, right?
Absolutely. You could even share a real-life example of a time you meticulously set up a machine for a complex job.
Yeah, like a time you caught a potential issue before it became a problem.
Exactly, something to show you're proactive.
I like that. And using the right terminology from the career guide can also make a big difference, right?
Oh, yeah, things like cutting parameters, material thickness, and shows you know what you're talking about.
Okay, so next question, and this one always throws people off. Describe a time you encountered a problem and how you resolved it.
The dreaded behavioral question.
Right, and I feel like people get so nervous about this one, but it's not about being perfect.
No, not at all. Everyone makes mistakes. It's about how you handle those mistakes.
Exactly, it's about your problem-solving skills and your ability to learn from experience.
And the interview guide recommends using the STAR method here.
Can you break that down for us?
Sure. STAR stands for Situation, Task, Action, and Result.
So it's a framework for structuring your response.
Right. So first, you describe the situation you were in, then the task you're trying to accomplish, the action you took, and finally, the result.
So it helps you tell a clear and concise story.
Exactly. And choose a situation that showcases skills relevant to the job. Maybe you had to troubleshoot a machine malfunction or adapt to a last-minute design change.
I see. So something that demonstrates your mechanical aptitude or your problem-solving skills.
Right. Or even your teamwork skills if it was a collaborative effort.
And speaking of teamwork, The career guide mentions that metal sawing machine operators often work closely with engineers and designers.
Collaboration is key in this role.
So even if a question doesn't explicitly ask about teamwork,
It's always good to weave in examples that show you can communicate effectively and take direction.
yeah, because it shows you understand the bigger picture.
Exactly. You're not just focused on your individual tasks, you're a team player.
And this brings us back to RoleCatcher and how its AI can really help you prepare.
Oh yeah, this is one of my favorite features.
Tell me more.
So it doesn't just help you tailor your initial responses, it actually provides feedback on your overall interview performance.
Oh, wow. So you can, like, practice your answers and get feedback.
Exactly. You can record yourself answering these questions and get personalized insights on your clarity, conciseness, use of relevant keywords.
It's like having a virtual mock interview.
Exactly. It takes the guesswork out of interview prep and helps you pinpoint areas where you can improve.
That is amazing. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground already, but we still have a ton of great questions to go through.
Let's keep going.
We'll be right back after a quick break with more tips and insights to help you ace that metal sawing machine operator interview.
Don't go anywhere. All right, so let's jump back into those interview questions. And this next one is really important for any job that involves machinery. How do you approach safety in your work?
Yeah, that's a big one. Safety is paramount.
Absolutely. And you want to show them that you're proactive, not just reactive. You know, it's not enough to just say, I follow the rules.
Right. You need to demonstrate that you're thinking ahead.
Exactly. Talk about how you identify potential hazards before you even start a job.
Like what kind of things, specifically?
Well, inspecting the machine for any signs of wear and tear, making sure the work area is clear of obstacles, double-checking safety guards, and emergency stop buttons.
So it's about being observant and anticipating problems.
Right, and you could even mention that you're always looking for ways to improve safety procedures.
Oh, that's a good one. Like maybe share an example of a time you suggested a change that made the workplace safer.
Exactly. It shows you're going above and beyond.
Okay, let's move on to another practical question.
Mhm.
How do you ensure that you maintain the machine properly?
All right, so this one is all about highlighting your attention to detail and your proactive approach to maintenance.
Because a well-maintained machine is a safe and efficient machine.
Exactly, and the career guide really emphasizes the importance of keeping the machine in top condition through regular cleaning, lubrication, and inspection.
So it's not just about fixing things when they break, it's about preventing those breakdowns from happening in the first place.
Right, talk about having a routine for checking things like blade sharpness, fluid levels, belt tension.
And maybe even keeping a logbook to track maintenance activities.
Oh, that's a great idea. It shows you're organized and on top of things.
Okay, now this next question is interesting. Can you describe a time when you had to work efficiently under pressure?
Ah, yes, the pressure test.
Right, because let's face it, things don't always go smoothly in a fast-paced work environment.
Nope, and they want to see how you handle stress and deadlines.
So how should someone approach this question?
Think of a specific example where you had to meet a tight deadline or maybe handle a sudden surge in workload.
Maybe a time when you had to complete a rush order without compromising on quality.
Exactly, and walk them through the steps you took to prioritize tasks, streamline your workflow, and stay focused.
And maybe mention any techniques you use to manage stress, like taking deep breaths or breaking down the task into smaller chunks.
Right, anything that helps you stay calm and productive under pressure.
Okay, so we've touched on teamwork before, but there's also a question specifically about collaboration. Tell me about a time you had to work as part of a team to achieve a goal.
Yeah, teamwork is essential in this role.
Because as we mentioned, metal sawing machine operators often work alongside engineers, designers, and other production team members.
Right, so this question is your chance to showcase your communication skills, your listening skills, and your ability to resolve conflicts.
So what kind of example should someone choose for this one?
Something that demonstrates your ability to contribute effectively to a team effort. Maybe you had to work together to troubleshoot a complex problem or implement a new production process.
And be specific about your role and contributions.
Right? Did you communicate your ideas clearly? Did you listen to the perspectives of others? Did you help resolve any disagreements?
Those are the details that really paint a picture of a strong team player.
Exactly. All right, let's move on to accuracy. How do you ensure accuracy in your work?
This one seems straightforward, but I bet there's more to it than just saying, I'm careful.
Oh yeah, accuracy is crucial in this role, and they want to see that you have a systematic approach.
So it's not just about being careful, it's about having a process in place to minimize errors.
Right. The career guide talks about using different measuring tools like calipers, micrometers, and gauges to verify dimensions.
And double-checking your work at each stage.
Exactly. You want to demonstrate that you're meticulous and detail-oriented.
A real-world example would be helpful here, too, right?
Absolutely. Like a time you caught a potential error before it became a costly mistake.
Okay, before we move on to the last few questions, I wanted to circle back to RoleCatcher's AI-powered feedback.
Oh, yeah, that's a game changer.
It really is, and I think it's important to remember that it's not just about identifying areas for improvement.
Right. It also highlights your strengths.
So it's about amplifying what you're already doing well.
Exactly. It helps you present the best version of yourself to potential employers.
Okay, let's tackle these last few questions. The interview guide mentions one about experience with different machines. What types of metal sawing machines have you operated?
Right. And if you've only worked with a limited range of machines, don't worry.
Yeah, you can still spin it positively.
Exactly. Focus on your adaptability and your willingness to learn new technologies.
And maybe mention any experience you have with computer-aided manufacturing or CNC machines.
Right. Even a basic understanding shows that you're forward thinking.
And do your research on the company. If you can mention the specific types of machines they use, it shows you've done your homework.
Good point. Okay, last question. Do you have any questions for us?
The classic closer, and always a bit tricky.
It can be, but it's your chance to show them that you're engaged and interested.
So what are some good questions to ask?
Avoid anything that could easily be answered with a quick Google search.
Right. They want to see you've put some thought into it.
It's exactly ask about the company culture opportunities for professional development or the specific challenges and rewards of the role.
And it's also your opportunity to assess whether this company is the right fit for you.
Exactly. Remember, an interview is a two-way street.
Great point. Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground today.
We have.
And I feel like we've given our listeners a really solid foundation for preparing for a metal sawing machine operator interview.
I think so too.
We've talked about analyzing the job description, crafting compelling answers, highlighting key skills, and even leveraging AI-powered tools like RoleCatcher.
And of course, we can't forget about the importance of practice.
Absolutely. Reading through the interview guide and listening to this deep dive is a great start, but you need to actually say the words out loud.
Right. Get comfortable with the material.
And don't be afraid to use RoleCatcher's feedback tool to refine your answers and boost your confidence.
All right. So I think we've equipped our listeners with everything they need to ace that interview.
Any final thoughts?
Just this, show them your passion for the work, let your enthusiasm shine through, and don't be afraid to highlight your unique skills and experience.
Great advice. Well, on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive.
We have.
Best of luck with your job search, everyone.
You got this. Before we wrap things up, I think it's worth taking a closer look at the what they do section in the career guide.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We've been so focused on those interview questions we haven't really talked about, like the day-to-day realities of the job.
Right. And this section, it really paints a clear picture of what a metal sawing machine operator actually does. It emphasizes that it's a skilled position.
Yeah, it's not just about pushing buttons.
No. They need a solid understanding of metal properties, cutting techniques, safety protocols, the whole 9 yards.
So let's break it down a bit. The guy talks about using those large, toothed edge blades to cut excess metal from workpieces.
Right. That's like the core function.
But it goes beyond that, right?
Yeah.
Like they also use tools like tin snips to refine those shapes and remove any burrs or rough edges.
Yeah, those tin snips, they're like specialized shears for cutting thin sheets of metal.
And then they use files grinders, other finishing tools to get those smooth, precise edges.
Exactly. It's all about precision and quality.
And of course, safety is always a top priority.
Absolutely. The guide stresses the importance of understanding and following all safety procedures, wearing the right PPE, being aware of potential hazards.
So even if they don't ask specifically about safety, you can weave those elements into your answers.
Right. It shows that you're responsible and safety conscious.
Okay, something else that caught my eye in the career guide was the industry trends section. They talk about automation becoming more prevalent in metalworking.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point to bring up. Even though we're talking about manual sawing machines, it's smart to show that you're adaptable and open to learning new technologies.
So maybe mention any experience you have with computer-aided manufacturing or CNC machines.
Exactly. Even if it's just a basic understanding, it shows that you're willing to embrace new advancements.
Okay, and I think it's worth touching on the pros and cons section, too.
Yeah. It's always good to be aware of both sides of the coin.
So on the plus side, they mention the satisfaction of doing high-precision work, the opportunity to work with different materials, and the potential for good earnings.
Right. Those are all great perks.
But they also mention that it can be physically demanding, involve repetitive tasks, and expose you to loud noises and potentially hazardous materials.
Yeah, it's not all sunshine and roses.
So it's important to go into that interview with a realistic understanding of the job.
Exactly. And show them that you're passionate enough about the work to handle the challenges.
Well, I think we've given our listeners a truly comprehensive deep dive into preparing for this metal sawing machine operator interview.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We've analyzed the job description, crafted compelling answers, talked about key skills, the day-to-day realities of the job, and even how to use AI-powered tools like RoleCatcher.
It's all about giving you the tools and the confidence to succeed.
So take a deep breath, review those resources, practice your answers, and go get that job.
We're rooting for you.
That's it for this episode of The Deep Dive. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.